This is episode 14 of our podcast on Rabbi Avrohom Kaplan's Bikvot Sayira, and this is episode 2 of our pursuit of the Maimer Litchia Toranis. She begins on page Pei Gimel, and we're up to page Pei Dal in the Sefer. Last time I tried putting it up on screen, and it was not a good, didn't really work out so well. So I'm just going to link to the text in the notes to this episode, and this is the theme of the Tchiyat Toranis is one which Rabbi Avrohom really manifests in Shtayim Shem Achas, which is when you talk about the war against Amalek, and it's going to manifest in the next Maimer on Herzl, and it's story about the great change in the world which happened in 1917 with the Balfour Declaration, continued with the British Mandate, and leads us now to have a different role in the world than we did during 1800 years of goals. But first, he's Kimmel HaKoras to the Magen David, which kept us alive during those 1800 years. And the Magen David, of course, is a representation of a Kodesh Baruch Hu. And that's, he picks up on Pei Dal at the top that we were saying about Kodesh Baruch Hu. That these years, the God who only through us became recognized in the entire world, that through the Torah which he taught us, brought us Amo, his nation, as Adas Rishona, we brought Amo, his nation, brought the Torah as Adas Rishona Gdola, the first and greatest knowledge, wisdom into the world. Who he alone we will worship with awe. His will and his power and his will sustained us in our long year of exile. And independent, intrinsic strength we did not have during those 1800 years. Nations which are stronger and more powerful than us, Yardu Tahoma, went down to the depths of Meshchaz Mazer during these 1800 years. In our own internal independent defense, we did not have. Besides for the Star of David, which is woven on our curtains, in all of our shuls, on the outside, and whose significance, which is mentioned before, which is Vato Hashem Magen Badi. You are Kodesh Baruch who have been my shield. That indication. And that's significance. So Kuma the Chasuma was woven and sealed ba'omek halev in the depths of our hearts. Magen Achem Yivadzel Loya. There was no other shield besides that. And enemies without measure surrounded us like bees. Oivim kadvorim. The enemies like bees. Kanak Hayamalech Am Yisrael Ben Oivav. But let like a giant Am Yisrael would go among its enemies. Kanak Ben Milionos Varim Ktanos. It's fascinating. Even in Golos, we're still the giant. We're hemmed in by all our enemies, but we're the giant because we're the giant in spirit. And even our enemies seem much more massive in their strength, in their power, in their weaponry during that time, but nevertheless they are like a swarm of angry bees. The like a giant among millions of small bees. Each bee by itself is weak. But poisonous bees, which attack us, and don't give us respite for a moment. Let's eat ali kever. Well, become a swarm of killer bees. The greatest giant, they can march into the grave. It's in the shortest time. With the name of Kodesh Baruch Hu, I will eliminate them. Nishba Yisrael. The Am Yisrael took an oath and said, We are still the giant in spirit. We're going to overcome those killer bees. You could also say the historians will call this a riddle. You could also say the poets will call it something extraordinary. Chida Pliya, it's a riddle and it's something amazing. Hulididam is for them, Nitzchios Am Yehudi, the eternity of the Jewish people. Ein lahem shem achelas, they have no other name for it except for Chida or Pliya. Avlan Hashem Echol Am Yisrael, but for us, the proper name for Am Yisrael, Ushmeina Kras B'Shmecha. Our name you called it your name. Amim, nations, Haim Yesh Lachem Shem, Lakel Shahanu Adanu Lachem. Do you have a separate name for the God which we told you about? But so Shem Karolanu. Well, you should know that's the name they called us. Israel. We were able to strive with divine forces and with human forces and be successful. Well, Batuchal in this case means to outlast. We're able to overcome the others, not militarily. Pilino, I mean, we wore out the other nations. Avokais, but now things are changing. Till now, our triumph was one of survival, as Rabbi Barrow Wine would put it. And Magen David protected us. But now things are changing. Now we have come to a time when we have to be able to be independent for ourselves. Each one of us will over to grapple with his weaknesses. None of us should forget me who he is. Ben Yisrael, son of Israel. Ben the son of a nation which fights the foreign gods. In ancient times, the gods are made of gold. Now they're made of paper. It's beautiful, marshal. Right? It's like the pen is mightier than the sword. The paper is mightier than the gold. Sounds like an economic statement about dollars, but it's not. It's a statement about who our adversaries have become. Our rivals, our adversaries have become. Once upon a time, they used to sacrifice them live children. Now they sacrifice live hearts. Sreifas neshama, and thus burn the neshama even while the body is extant. They suffocate the Jewish soul. In among the lines of the foreign literature. And the body remains intact, without the intrinsic neshama. And not much time passes until it comes in propelled into it. Google shell neshama zara, reincarnation of a foreign soul. But because there's the empty body, which is destroyed by the literature. But other things nowadays, we would say by social media. Bas Amzar, who is the girl who comes in? The daughter of a foreign nation. Son of the Jewish nation, do you not have enough sustenance for your soul by your own nation? They have to collect handouts by others. The Rabbi is talking at the height of the period of isms. Many isms of all sorts. And he's saying, you don't need those isms. And this is a fight in Slobodka and in Telz on an ongoing basis, and many of the Talmidim in Slobodka and Telz fell victim to these isms. Romelia founded this movement, or his participant founded this movement as an attempt to try and fight with these isms, whatever they were, from Zionism to communism, which are affecting the Jews and taking us to foreign fields. Learning the Torah, learn well your history. Know your poets, your great thinkers. Sing your own Tehillim. Understand your own Koheles. Go in depth into your own Job. Dream the visions of Yeshaya. Alive, enlivening the Gemara. Covered Rosh, become a person of gravitas, idea of significance, idea Rambam. cry and laugh. Rabbi Yehuda Levi Shechol, Rabbi Yehuda, you're Rabbi Yehuda Levi. Have a Jose, become a visionary. Bar Rizal Shechol, when you're a Rizal. Have a Tova Nov Kibir Moshe Korabeo Shech. Be good and humble with your Moshe Korabeo. Chadei Sichel Chas, sharpen your mind, but you should be Kibeger. You should share with that pig Tzos Choshen. Play with the pages of the Tzos. V'chule, v'chule. Baal Nisya Bevayish, let us not be embarrassed. Ki Anashim Achim Anachnu. Because we're all brethren here. In other words, saying to all the people in the room, saying, perhaps you're not all familiar with all these names. Perhaps some how many of you have found these names foreign to yourselves? How many of you have heard only for the first time some of these names? I don't think my audience for this podcast has any problem like that. But that's because we live in a different generation and we're not exposed to those isms anymore. But they were. It says Shlomo Khan Pushkin, famous Russian author, Shlomo Khan Goethe, famous German author, Shlomo Khan Gabriel di Annunzio, who I have no idea what that is. Cain Zos Yochlu Daima said this to digest much more quickly. How things have changed. The issues which are confronting in 1919 are not the same issues of 2024. Right? It's going to be 2025. And there's an important point which I made once a chavus of mine way back 40 years ago, so it was less. I said to him, and I may have said this before. I don't recall saying last week, but if I did, forgive me for repeating it. Which is that once upon a time, the Yetzaharas of Yeshiva Bachrim were Spinoza, Marx, whatever, other, Pushkin, Goethe, as he says here, and whoever Gabriel D'Annunzio was. Now it's baseball, football, basketball. That was back in the 80s. Now it's whatever it is today. Possibly also still sports and whatever social media is selling at the moment on TikTok. But in any event, we have different battles today. This battle of giving idealism of one type over another type is not the battle of today. Today's battle would be idealism altogether. I would say that the battle is even different today. The day battle is for independent thought. That people should actually analyze things as opposed to have knee-jerk responses, because the modern society doesn't encourage independent thought. It almost prohibits independent thought. It certainly does not give you the time for independent thought and to assess things individually and not in lockstep with your society. So that's just I think the HR the issue of today. But Ramelia is talking back in 1919 situationally. People were searching for idealism, especially in the wake of the First World War. So Ramelia is saying, you know what? You don't have to look that far. You shouldn't look that far. You don't look in foreign fields. Look by us at home. You'll find plenty. And he goes on. He says, "Do you think that these last ones are going to give us the power to live eternity? Lo, definitely not. Even none of us would say that it does. Pushkin chai v'kayim. So that's not possible. Nobody's going to say it. Even those that are ignorant of the Ktsois are not going to say, okay, Archius will come from Pushkin. You have to learn, feel, and think Jewish. And with this to live Jewish. Lo er kamatif musar el kaben Yisrael. I will not present myself as somebody who is delivering Musar, but rather like a simple Ben Yisrael Shomer. When I say Misha Eno Shomer Shabbos, somebody is not Shomer Shabbos, Eno Shech, and Eno Shech Lazdenu is not relevant to our future. Vim Gamo Hebes Amo, even if he loves our nation. Lumino, he's a nationalist. Hare is a tragi odioso, it's even more tragic. Atzuv odioso, it's even more sad. Ramelia again is confronting Zionism, which said you can be Jewish without having Shmir Shabbos, right? Without you can be nationalist and not be observant Jew. It says more tragic, more sad. Don't will aim have praise. It's like a barbarian mother. However, it says Yalda, who loves her child, and kisses it, Velofef et Savoro, and then embraces its neck, and suffocates it. Shelo lishmor Shabbos lichashay b'nei atzmo kiyudi, not to keep Shabbos, consider oneself Jewish. Harei ze lefi hameimer Talmudis rachachmanis. This is like the wise statement of the Talmud. Seek reshel lo yomos, you're going to cut off the head, you're not going to die. In this respect, Rabbi Avrohom was diverged, obviously, from thinkers like Rav Kook, who believed that Zionism was a form of tshuva in and of itself, and then it's on the pathway to full observance of mitzvahs. Rabbi is not that enthusiastic about nationalism, even though we're going to say good words about Herzl next mimer, but with limitations. Without Shabbos, it doesn't go anywhere. Let's him cut off his friend's head. V'yomer and say, I want him to survive. You may want my friend. I believe you're cutting off his head. You still want him to leave. I believe you're telling the truth. But your desire will not have any positive effect whatsoever. Without Jewish life, die, my friends. It's not possible to have a Jewish nation. If people do not want to continue to preserve that which sustained us till now, as Torah saying our Torah, very difficult to help for something in the future. We remain like a small nation, a weak nation, without a land, without a language, without a special form of life, with a weak sense, of nationality, of achdus and unity. Which is going to be negated from any one of us immediately once we leave our youth. Fascinating idea, right? Youth and its idealism can a little bit overcome the lack of content. Not today, back in 1919, because there was a drivenness. But that drivenness is not going to last. It's not going to, when it faces the reality of sustaining a family and going out and making a living, that sense of idealism is very hard to sustain unless it's grounded in some profound eternity, which is Torah. Sifaseni Edus Chadasha, our new Jewish literature, is very impoverished when it comes to food for the sustaining of the spirit of the nation. I think everybody can understand this. The kernel, the seed of the nation, is only the great community which lives Jewishly. Shomer Torah preserves Torah. Misavil also tzibur, around that tzibur. Mischakim kominei ramim. They rub against it all types of streams. She'll see fruits of literature, umiflakdus, and political partisanship. Misamtzin l'shorfo, and they make an effort to sweep it away. L'schofim mon kol echad echad, and draw with them each and every person. Hava banim Yisrael, so us, the children of Israel, Nazov, let's call azorim sisavim. Let's leave all the streams around us. Let's penetrate into the nation. Directly into its essence. Let's Torah. Toranis. And let's live Torahic. And powerful language about to say. The old words. Frumkeit. Orthodoxia. It's as if they're rusty. Young people only see in the distance the rust on them. And they flee from them. Like the shooting of an arrow, as quickly and as far as they can. So let's stop using the wrong names. Orthodoxy, Frumkeit. Let's call it the proper name. Toranius. Chaye Torah, Torah life. The early Aguda had this issue. I don't know, the early midlife Aguda, when they stopped talking about Orthodox and started using the term Torah true. It's the same principle. Orthodoxy is a political term and very heavily laden term with all sorts of ramifications, which are necessarily all positive. Certainly, Frumkeit, we know, according to Rav Volbe, Frumkeit is one of the worst possible terms to use to describe Torah life because it's completely superficial and completely unthought out. Torah life means profound life. Sod Chayenu Prichosenu, the secret of our life and our flowering. Karina Nitzchius Alechi Manavchotik Vasenu Shivasenu, the kernel of eternity which goes with us with all our hopes and all aspirations. Haravus L'Kolchenu Ruchani, which are the guarantee of our spiritual force, Chaim Yudim, and Jewish life. Haim Rak Chaim Yudim Toranim Mamash, the only guarantee is literal, actual Torah-tic Jewish life. Ti Shabbaseinu, Shabbos Koroi, Shabbos be a proper Shabbos. V'chol Tiferes HaYudis, with all the Jewish glory. V'chol Daikonus HaYudis, Shmiras, on all the Jewish meticulousness in preserving it. Yechagenu Chag Karoi, our Yontiv should be a proper Yontiv. Yuri Adenu Esachehem, and our children see their brothers, Habechirim, their older brothers. Shem Atzim Abogad, when they're going hastily in the morning davening. Liftoch behamatov ba, to open it behamatov lecha yakom mishosach Yisrael. Open at the beginning. Sayim ba ani esov ani esbov amaleit at the end. Ani Hashem esaecha Yisrael. I am your God. I will uplift you, Am Yisrael. Abircha. I will bring you over the difficulties. V'abircha bring the freedom. B'teidah no bas Yisrael. That the daughter of Israel know al Tanakh Shalah. My great forefathers. It's truly alive and is yearning for its great future. So all this is an introduction, actually, from our perspective, to the next mimer, the mimer on Herzl, which we're not going to start today, but the idea of what exactly it means now that we believe in Torah and idealism, and yet we're confronted with all these new realities which the world has presented to us, and these new possibilities. And the next mimer also was from the same Asifa. So obviously he meant them to be together. He meant them to lead one into each other. And that's coming up next.